Yeah. What is the storm of bullets happening outside right now?
I think it's a god bullet downpour of
God, bullet downpour.
yeah.
What were we just talking about? I've already forgotten.
I mean, I was my Gandalf the Gay. I don't know what you were talking
Gandalf the
about.
gay,
So
yeah. Oh, we were talking about Bear gets electrocuted. Yeah, great
yeah,
video. Look it up. I said to you, I've got like a bunch of footage, right? And I'm
yeah,
like, what do you want to record next? You're like, let's do the rage episode.
yeah. I'm ready.
You want to talk about these games that I was not that interested in. So
Yeah,
let's.
I mean, I have things to say about the first one and the second one. I didn't have things to say until I saw it, and now I think I have things to say.
So this is BulletStorm, BulletStorm Full Clip Edition. Um, I'd never played BulletStorm before, and I hear a lot of things on the internet. People going, "Oh, BulletStorm was such a
Yeah,
great game. You just go and check it
yeah.
out."
But they kind of like put in a sense of like, oh, people missed out. It's like it was like a hidden gem sort of thing, right? Like it's like
I
not as well known.
I went back and I played BulletStorm, and I was like, "What game were they playing?"
Yeah,
Because I'm like playing it now, and like this game has not aged well at all, in my opinion.
yeah. I'm gonna be honest. Even at the time, from the stuff I saw, I would have said it was all right with like an edgy sense of humor.
Yeah,
I don't think this was ever. Maybe I don't know. Maybe like I'm not saying it's not good necessarily, like at the time, but like I don't think it was great. I think some people think it was great. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. So like you're like going one step further and saying it, and it doesn't hold up. Like
I don't.
like
So
certain
like,
mechanics aren't
even
working
this is
anymore.
the full clip edition or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I
so
believe there's
HD
DLC to even.
textures.
I don't know what the difference is. I like
I would
the.
say this looks way better than it did in the day. I'll tell you that much.
I think it's running on like Unreal Engine 3 probably or something like that.
Right. I I can't. Yeah.
But it's
I can
still
imagine that.
okay. So the full clip edition includes the Bulletstorm DLC, two expansions called Gun Sonata and Blood Symphony, as well as some additional multiplayer maps.
So did you? So you never bought the normal, or the non remade game, I suppose, or the
No,
non upscaled game? Because I got the upscaled game for free because I apparently already owned the base game.
right. They didn't do
So it's
like a
like okay,
particularly like big changes for the full clip edition. I don't believe.
no, I don't think so. I think most of it is like textures and UI. I want to say.
So let's just quickly go through like what kind of experience you get while playing Bulletstorm. You load up the game. I think I had to tweak around a lot with like the settings to get it to like somewhere where I was like, this is nice to play.
Right.
Immediately wasn't great out of the box. Um, I I'm messing around the options menu definitely needs a lot of work there, but it almost feels like a half-assed update that they did with the full clip
Yeah.
edition. It's like, well,
Yeah.
we'll just add. It's more like a game of the year thing where they're like, oh, it's just
Yes.
we'll add the DLC, right? Which okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But playing it now, so
Not 5 years
this
after the date.
okay. I like boomer shooters. I like games that have like gameplay minimal story, but the story in this game is just ass. It's like super
It
boring.
Yeah,
Um,
edgy as fuck.
it's like you're a secret agent who was going around killing people, but you didn't know that you were actually the bad guy, and now you've gone to a planet that's infected with this disease and they're going to blow it up and you need to get off it. That's pretty much the whole story.
Yeah,
Um,
you're meant to be the bad. I guess you're meant to be the anti-hero, I suppose. It's
yeah.
kind of the idea. But it's like you have like these equips, like just meant to like sound like a badass, but just they just seems embarrassing.
I don't know.
And I felt that from like when the game came out.
Now,
So
I heard people really like this game because of the combo system where you can pick up
Like we,
people, like you leash them and
yeah,
then you kick
yeah,
them or stuff. And I
kick
was like,
them,
oh,
leash them.
this is gonna be really
Yeah,
interesting. And it turned out it was like most of the time I was just sort of kicking people and then shooting them in the air. And I was trying to do these trick
yeah,
shots that the game tells you can do, like the nut shot or
yeah.
the stuff like that. And it just never seemed to be registering, or it never felt interesting in any way. It was always
My
just
yeah.
flip a guy into the air and then shoot him was like 90% of the things that I could manage to do in this game. And it was
I
like,
feel
well,
like
okay, if you
people's.
like running around kicking people, sure.
I feel like
But
yeah, I feel like people's memory is like the perfect version of what this game could have been, not what the game actually was. I remember the reviews at the time saying like the idea of like comboing, like kicking people into combos is like a good idea, but it's like not well executed, and it's like just still more
yeah.
efficient just to shoot them and not do the complicated
But yeah,
combos.
story's not great. Characters super generic.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of a brown shooter in a way, but it's a little bit of a
yeah, it's like super.
style.
It's like that Unreal Engine 3, you know, like Rage
Yeah,
or Gears of War. It's very much just like
yeah,
cover shooter. Everything's gray buildings, and
yeah,
this like time in gaming, I absolutely hated in terms of
yeah.
like
Agreed.
a lot of the games that came out at that
Like
time.
the style of those games were awful.
Yeah.
There's like the trying to be too realistic and made it brown. Is that I sure?
But like there is some cool stuff. Like, so I think 90% of people saying that the gameplay is good is probably because there's a sniper rifle you can control. You can control the bullet with your mouse after you fire it. That one point alone made
Uh,
the game like way more enjoyable for me. Was
yeah, that was interesting.
the sniper rifle bullet thing? I think you can do like a similar thing in like Sniper Elite.
Oh yeah, yeah, sort of yeah.
You can kind of control the bullet, or you get like the X-ray vision sort of thing.
Did you just try and
Um,
pull someone in the front and it pulled someone behind the guy you're looking at in front of the guy you wanted to pull? Is that what I just witnessed?
but yeah, you've got this. Your eyes start bleeding. You need to get run around and regenerate some health. Here's the steering billet
Oh
mechanic I was talking about.
yeah,
I think
no,
I hit him on the leg there.
regen
I'm
health.
trying to hit him in the nuts, I believe, because that
Oh,
gives you
you're
more
not sure.
points. Yeah,
And
but
points being
like there was
prizes.
this target loss thing. So you had to aim at a target with the sniper rifle. But then, if one of the AI companions that you're with shoots them and knocks them down but doesn't kill them, that would cancel the target because there's only one target there.
Why?
And then it's like,
That
well,
just
now that they've been knocked down, that cancels your bullet. You have to shoot another one. There's like a lot of like small things that are like add up to be
that's so
quite
dumb.
clunky. Like the AI
Yeah.
in this game is not very good.
Why?
Um,
Like, should I just do a check on the like the when you initially shoot whether you can shoot or not, and
One
then
of
let,
my
just
big
let it
complaints
happen?
is the boss fights in this. Holy shit, the boss fights in this game.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so there's like a one of the boss. I think one of the most egregious ones is like there's a giant plant boss. Um, there's
Oh,
that is like a
yeah,
massive bullet sponge. Like a lot of the
yeah,
bosses
yeah.
are just straight up bullet sponges. And they just take forever to kill, and there's nothing really rewarding about just sitting there for 10 minutes, just pumping the same generic guns into them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like for a game like this, your strength is clearly your interesting combat system, where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
kill a bunch of, let's send a bunch of enemies at you. Let's see how you kill them in different ways. When you have
In my
this giant
yeah.
big health bar boss, you can't do any of that stuff. It's mostly just you stand there and you shoot it, and then if you die, you start again. And it's just like, well, this
In
sucks.
yeah, in my mind, like if I'm just trying to think like how would you do it where you use the kick system? So why not make it where they send enemies, but like that could explode on death? So you have to kick them into the enemy, like or into the boss. Wouldn't that make more sense? At least be
Mm.
some interest to the boss fights at that point. Another brown. Oh, dark grey corridor. That's what we like to see.
Oh, you got that mandatory head bobbing you can't turn off. You love to
Oh
see it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Can we just have a head bob slider? Can we just standardize that thing? Like I know we FOV sliders requirement, but can we have a head bob slider? Because I feel like I like a light head bob, but I feel like a lot of people like. I assume you like always went off, right?
Let me check if I rated this game on Mediapedia to see what I gave it.
Okay, one star.
I don't think I gave it 1 star. No,
0 stars.
I
Okay.
give it 3 stars out
Three
of
stars.
5.
Okay, so mediocre.
Yeah, I've noticed
Well,
that
so,
I
so
generally don't give things like Sonic Frontiers has 2 stars, for example. Like even if I
okay, I'll be
really don't
giving
like
that one for
something,
sure. Okay,
I don't seem to be give things like a super low rating unless I
right.
don't like
You
them. I don't
you
know.
can see
I'm generally more positive on games than I would say
you're
most
seeing
people.
you're seeing the positives and go, well, I did these things right technically.
I mean, those three
To me
stars are
though,
for the sniper rifle you can control with your mouse. So
right, fair
yeah,
enough.
I mean, there is
I'm
like,
seeing this. Yeah.
go on.
No, I say, to me, I'm seeing this like a mediocre game, but it's like a lot of the points is adding up. So I'm like, okay, I'll start mediocre, then minus some points, 2 stars or 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, the hyper mutilated fly trap. I think this is the boss I was talking about. Where I was just
That's the
like,
boss, is it?
well, there's a couple of like, there's one where you basically fight like Godzilla monsters. There's a point where you control a Godzilla-like monster that was pretty fun, but it's just like a small part of the game, and then it's like, well, we're done with that.
Okay,
Um,
right.
but yeah, my general thoughts on Bulletstorm is like they had this sort of interesting the rear entry, the butt shot is like
Oh,
this
that's what's
idea of
cool.
like why don't we make gunplay interesting by doing this combo point based system where um, you know try and kill enemies in interesting ways to gain more points. That stuff's
Yeah,
good, but it's just
makes
like
sense.
the game is bogged down with so much other stuff that I don't care about. Like I like
Yeah,
stuff like that where it's
it.
like I was aiming at another guy with a sniper rifle and then I shot another guy, so it's like, oh, you get bluff points for that. That's like interesting. Or
Yeah, that's
like the
cool.
bouncer gun where you can like have delayed explosions on them through upgrades, so you can like roll
Yeah,
it along and then blow it up or stuff like that. That sort of stuff is cool, but it's just like in general, it's
in
inside
execution.
it's inside like a super brown gray boring
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
There's nothing in the story
I
making me want to go on, and it's just bogged
no.
down by them going, well, the stuff that's working, the like interesting combo stuff, let's try and implement something completely different that just completely slows the pace down of this. And it's just like,
Yeah.
well, okay.
Because like I feel like the idea is there, like if they could optimize the combo system to be good, I feel like it could have been a much better game. So to me, it's like a good idea executed poorly in story, a brown story, let's say.
Yeah.
I will leave it at that.
Yeah, I found myself being like, "Oh, how much longer is Bulletstorm got? You know, how much more do I have to play until I can, you know, go on
Well,
to something
how
else?
long did you play it for? I guess that's a question.
Yeah, let me check on Steam.
Because I don't think it was too long, was it? I thought it was like what, like 8 hours or 10 hours or so,
I
if that.
played 7.8 hours. So it's around an eight
Yeah,
hour
I was
playtime.
gonna say.
But yeah,
Do
I would
I think reviews back in the day.
I would rather have a 4 hour
Yeah,
campaign that was more full of good shit. Was like
yeah.
less like for me personally.
Some,
I prefer smaller, more action-packed games.
yeah. You don't. There's no point trying to elongate.
Like
I mean, I appreciate long games, but there's no point
I
trying to
would
optimize for it.
love if Boomerang X was longer than an hour and a half, but the hour
Yeah,
and a half of Boomerang X is so
it.
fucking good. It is
Yeah, if
like
it was like you're saying, like if you had a choice between Boomerang in its current state or elongating it and making it as boring as Bulletstorm, like you'd take Boomerang X any day.
yeah. I think there's other things they could do in terms of like adding like workshop support or whatever,
Yeah,
where you allow community people to make their own content. But in terms of its like how fun it is, um, I I think I would much rather take quality over quantity in my opinion.
yeah.
And 8 hours
I mean,
is
ideally, you
not
just want
eight
more
hours is
quality,
not.
but
I
yeah,
mean, 8 hours is not long these days, Tony. When you compare it to like
no.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's like 100 hours
Well,
minimum or whatever,
if
right?
I remember correctly, I could be misremembering this, but I swear this game was like slightly lower price than normal AAA games. I think reviews at the time were like, well, as a negative, like, oh, this is a pretty short story. I think that's what like some of the reviewers were saying.
Hmm.
I can't. It's been a while. Like it's been a very long time since I've thought about this game.
Yeah, so
But
I'll just quickly summarize. I went into this as someone who'd never played BulletStorm, but had heard such positive sentiment about it,
yeah,
and I think
on
I came
Reddit.
out you know, with a much more negative opinion of it because of the hype it had received from people. I think if I
Right,
went into
right.
this game with no expectations, I would have been like, oh, you know, that was okay. It wasn't great, but I
Yeah,
think it's because people were like, this is an underrated masterpiece gem that I'm
yeah,
like, I just don't understand how we're playing the same game. I genuinely don't get it.
yeah. Because if
And
they just
if it's
came and
not for
said like
me,
the
then
mechanics are
it's not
cool,
for me, right?
yeah. No, I think your opinion's correct. I'm gonna be honest. I think
Well,
the
I think my
idea is
opinion is
cool,
my
but
opinion. I mean, art is very subjective.
true, true. You can like whatever you want, obviously.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
yeah.
I would like to see some of these mechanics in other games, maybe executed differently.
I hate that old mechanic of press this button to look here and you get points for it.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm glad we've got past that point.
yeah. Well, some games still try and
But
bring it
yeah,
back.
Bulletstorm, um, not the greatest fan of that. But we will move on to the next game where I had no expectations for this game. I pretty much was like, hey, this game was given away through an Epic. I've never played, so this is Kao the Kangaroo, and it's an old school like mascot platformer that got remastered recently, or they made like a new version of it. KO, sorry, is apparently I always call him Cow, but
Okay.
KO is apparently how you say that.
KO. Well, it's like the but boxing, right? Knockout,
But
but
I kept
kangaroo.
so this game came out. I was like, this game looks really good. So positives about was it KO the Kangaroo?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, because his name's KO because he has boxing gloves.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, guys, my opinion of this game has changed. It's 10 out of 10. Great
Good
pun.
pun. Good pun.
Um, there was something like that the other day where I was like, I don't get why it's called this, and then I realized why it was called it, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, you have to re-figure
Yeah,
it out. You get the same epiphany moment.
I'll remember it after we finish recording.
Oh, thank God.
But yeah, mascot platformer. It was. I'd never really heard about it until they started like re-releasing
No.
the games on Steam, and then out
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
nowhere, I think it was last year or the year before, they released this game, and I thought it has that similar art style to the Spyro Reignited trilogy, where you have those almost like Pixar level animate. What you know what I'm talking about? Like heavy depth of field, heavy motion blur, like
Yeah.
very pristine looking. I don't know how you describe the like Pixar Disney style, but this is sort of like
Yeah.
what it looks like, and I think that's a very good look for mascot platformers.
Yeah. Yeah. In like modern 3D technology, yeah, I think it
Because
works quite well.
I think the best way to display them is this very like pristine
Crisp.
looking, you know, clean animation look.
Yeah.
And
I agree
so
with
I
that.
think KO the Kangaroo did very well its presentation. So well that I said, "Oh, this game looks good. Let's try it out." I then started playing the game, and I read some reviews that said the voice acting is some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard. And I
Yeah.
said, "There's no way this is some of the worst voice. Maybe they're just being overly harsh." And then I
Yeah.
listened to the voice acting, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe they're onto something here." Like the voice acting is genuinely awful in this game. Like I don't want to be
It's
rude to
quite
the voice
cringy.
actor, but like his voice was, I don't know how to.
Cringy.
Yeah, I don't know how to like.
Yeah, it sounds to me. It sounds half baked and like I'm kind of like cringing and like third degree embarrassment in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know. It is difficult to explain, but yeah, I don't. It feels hollow in a way.
I found the game was also like, I the game was super buggy as well. There
Oh,
was
really?
several points where I like fell out of the map playing this game. I shit you not. Like
Okay.
I would fall out of the skybox, or there was like a platform where it's like you need to jump to this platform, and it was like, oh, I clearly made that, but the game's like, no, no, you didn't, and I was like, oh, okay. Um,
So it's just like collision detection's an issue then with platforms.
but yes, because I've read people saying like, oh, it's the voice acting's awful and it's buggy and stuff, and I was like, well, let's try it out and see it for myself. But yeah, I think ultimately with Kao the Kangaroo, there's just nothing interesting about the game. Like the best thing about the game is the way it looks, and if you're like a surface level person, maybe that's enough for you. But when you actually play it, a lot of the levels just felt like Unreal Tech demos. Like
Yeah.
it has that sort of look where it's like hyper stylized, but like I put all the effort into making this look good, and then it's like it's like a tech demo. It's
And
just like a big open world, and then the level
no,
design is just
yeah.
random objects kind of strung together to try and
No,
make a
no polish
concept.
necessary. Yeah.
Um, I think maybe I don't know with like the voice acting and the the way the game. Maybe they were trying to go for like a super young audience where they're like maybe like someone who's super young playing this game. Maybe they could look past all of its flaws. But
Yeah,
it's definitely.
but surely a lot of Pixar stuff is like that, and I feel like I know it's like that's different caliber, but like I don't know, I feel like it doesn't really excuse it in my eyes.
Yeah, I think I did like collecting the letters. I think that's very nostalgic of Donkey Kong. I just
Oh, I was
know
gonna say,
that
where do I know that mechanic from?
yeah, DK.
So it's like
But
a child friend or more a younger audience than Donkey Kong stuff. Is that
yeah,
like
but
I
the
guess that is
I
kind of
think
the
I think
target
I think the
audience?
problem with making a game where it's like we're gonna make like a child-friendly game that's like easy to
Yeah,
play for like someone who's super young.
yeah,
The whole time playing this, you're gonna be like, why aren't I playing? Why
yeah,
aren't I
yeah.
getting them
The
to
game
play
is
something
based on.
better?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you get them to play Spyro? Why wouldn't you get them to
Hmm.
play Hat in Time? Any
Yeah.
of the Mario games? There
Because
is
I feel like the
Kirby.
Spyro could
Kirby's an
be.
amazing one,
Yeah.
which is great for younger players as well. There is so many great 3D platformers that we don't need a mediocre platformer.
Yeah. I think I agree. But like in the Spyro though, like surely that's like for a child audience or like a young child audience, would you be okay with Spyro like the what's it called, the Reignite trilogy?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that like
Yeah.
fine?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of like platformers you could play, like Hat in Time,
Yeah.
um, but there's tons of great throwback 3D platform like Ukulele, um,
Mm.
or I specifically have played Ukulele in Impossible Lair, which is more like a Donkey Kong Country style game, which is really good and really underrated, just like BulletStorm. Um,
Yeah. Just
uh,
like we got a video on it you can watch.
but yeah, the story of this game is not great. I mean, this is an interesting thing to talk about, Tony. Like when people criticize something possibly intended for children, right? And they
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
this is not very good. And the usual comeback is, well, this is intended for children, so it doesn't need to be good.
As if children can't have decent
But then it's
story
like,
to
but then
play.
it's like, but children, you can make stuff for children that is good.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like, because some people
Like
will
the good Pixar films.
well, people were criticizing I think it was the Mario Brothers movie, the new one, right? And people were
Yeah.
saying, well, it's meant for kids. You can't criticize it. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I've personally watched Bluey, the TV series, with my niece, and it is a great show for kids and adults. And it's
Yeah.
just like,
yeah.
and I'm just
You
like,
want something like when I go back to and go, oh, I remember this. Oh, it's sort of something for me when I come back to. I think it's a good indication of a good kids content.
They
or
actually
good
they just announced a
entertainment.
Bluey video game is coming out. I'm after I play My Friend Peppa Pig and the
Okay.
Paw Patrol Grand Prix, I'll have to be checking that
Yeah,
out. But
that's
it's just like, yeah,
can I? Okay,
maybe it
I've
is
got one other
designed
thing.
for younger people, but it's still
Yeah,
there's better things they could be playing. It still kind of sucks.
my opinion on kids stuff is like it's a great opportunity to trick them into learning stuff because they're gonna be watching something flashy and cartoony anyway. And especially if they then remember it and go back to it like at a later age, like when they're still like maybe like a teenager or something, they go, "Oh, I remember this. Oh, it had life lessons to learn."
I am a pro. Wait, what have you done?
Isn't it great? I found Dad's gloves. Someone buried
Here's the
them.
voice
I
actor.
did, with good reason.
It was you? But why?
Something evil going on. Darkness. Why your dad left? To defeat it. Same darkness corrupted his
But yeah,
gloves.
it's a revival of like an early 2000s games, and it seems like people really liked those games. But
Right.
It was her that let me
based on what I've played of this game, I can tell you it is
her before coming to look for you.
very buggy,
Trying to tell
not great level design. It's very short, very easy, and generally I don't think worth playing for most people would be my review of KO the Kangaroo.
I know Spyro's different, but yeah, would you recommend something like Spyro instead? Or is there another like more
I,
comparable game to push in a different direction?
I think if you're looking for a platforming game for a younger sibling or a younger child or whatever, right? Kirby and the Forgotten Land is probably an amazing game to put them on.
Yeah.
That's probably like a very good one. Some of the Mario games can be quite hard at certain points, but especially the newer Mario games have what's called an assist mode that essentially makes them like the assist mode in like 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Odyssey can even give them invincibility and stuff like that. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think like the Mario games are another great example of a platform for younger people. I can't say I have much experience with like what platforms would be good for kids because I don't know anyone with a child that's of the age of playing a platformer yet. So
Yeah, it's difficult.
but yeah, I think
I feel like Spyro.
I think I was my opinion of this game changed based on playing it because I was somebody who looked at the gameplay footage and I said, well, it looks really good, and you know, it looks like it could be fun. Maybe I'll try it. And then I went, you know, I saw the reviews of people saying it's buggy and bad voice acting, and it wasn't until I played it myself I went, oh, okay, I get what they're saying now, right? It's just like it's a collectathon game, and it feels fucking useless to collect things in this game, which I'm just like, there's a shop that sometimes sells you things, and they're usually not very useful, and it's like, well, why am I collecting anything? It's like if you have a collectathon and I'm going, well, does it feel good to move? Not really. Okay, so the act of collecting is not fun. Okay, is the stuff I'm collecting interesting? No. Does it give you anything interesting? No. What is this game? What is this game about? Like what's the point of this game? I don't understand.
And I think the life lesson of the story so far is listen to your dreams. It's very important.
Okay. But yeah,
Yeah,
I gave this game I gave this game 2 stars, so it's on the same level as Sonic Frontiers based on my current ranking system. So if you're looking at if you played this game, you're like, I love KO the Kangaroo, and I'm like, try Sonic Frontiers, maybe you'll love that as well.
It's a great game for you.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the end of Tangerine, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.